Well, welcome to Can We Chat here. I tell you, it feels like ages since we've been on because for the 4th of July, everybody was kind of traveling, getting ready to go to Las Vegas. But we are so pleased and privileged. Oh my goodness, Maxine and I are so excited. We were a little bit nervous with the guests that we have. Oh my goodness. So I'm Sheila Abram, and I am from the West Coast in sunny California, and I'm joined by my wonderful business partner and co-host, Miss
Maxine Jones on the East Coast. And as always, we think about Can We Chat here? It's about our dreams, our goals, our stories, and our journeys. And as always, we want to share information with our Facebook friends. We love to bring value and we love to bring content. Well, tonight's topic is called The Importance of Personal Development. And we have here two very, very special guests, special to our hearts anyway. And they are going to be sharing about personal development. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Cameron Gamble, who we love and know as Mr. Outstanding, and the phenomenal Dr. Dominic Curry. Welcome, gentlemen, to Can We Chat Here?
Yes,
we are so excited about what you will be sharing. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get started. So let's get started. And the first thing I would like to do is have each one of you give a little background about who you are and what you do. So let's start off with Dr. Dominic Curry.
Why me?
He goes, why me?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate you both from East Coast, West Coast, worldwide. I guess to be able to take some time to just share a bit. And the reality is that there's nothing really special about me. I am horrible when it comes to talking about myself because the reality is that I know that I have so much more to do, so much more improvement to make with myself that I don't often get hung up on anything that I may have done in the past. But if I have to just kind of sort of give you a rundown of who I am, the truth is that I'm just a simple guy born and raised in the heart of Washington, D.C., Southeast Washington, D.C. I come from very humble beginnings. I would never consider where I came from to be anything less than the best because it has molded me, made me into what I am today. I'm so appreciative of the values and the philosophies that has been instilled in me since I was very young. I was raised and reared by some phenomenal parents and even people that surrounded me who I'd submit to you who were just great people who all parented me, so to speak. Got a lot of whoopings. So, I know that might be illegal. Some stuff is illegal now that happened to me, right? But the truth is that I appreciate it because I was this subject matter is probably the most important subject that anybody could ever talk about because it's the true power of personal improvement, and that's a journey that I've been on since I was about 17, 18 years old. And the truth is I was one of those kids that just did too much too soon. Always with the older guys. I probably can't share a lot of what because we're recording, right? But let's just say this: I zig when I should have zagged, right? And but I'm so thankful. I'm thankful, and I wouldn't trade my dark days in for anything in the world because, again, all of my experiences have molded me, shaped me. Right out of high school, even though I probably wasn't what the people would have classified as a good child. Leadership has always been in me. I've always been very influential, but the reality is I haven't always led people to do what was right. But I got to a place where I really just wanted to be different. I wanted to be different. And that was in my late teens. And I was about right around 18 years old when I just said, I'm just done. And there's a reason why the fast life is called the fast life, because it's really over fast. When you see 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds talking about, I don't care no more, it doesn't make a difference to me. The reality is because they already did a little too much living in their lives. They've done things that they shouldn't have been doing. And that was me. That was me in places I shouldn't have been, with people I probably shouldn't have been with, doing things I shouldn't do. And something got a hold of me and just kind of turned my life around. And so I made a promise to myself and to others that if I was going to continue to be an influencer, I was going to start to influence people to do what is right. I actually had right out of high school two scholarships, a ride to go to Loyola, where I was going to study psychology, as well as North Carolina Central. Which was really surprising to me. Well, I kind of got my work done. I was cutting up, but I did pay attention. You know what I mean? So I got some things done, but I was cutting up at the same time. But I didn't go to college. I did not go to college right after high school. And to be honest with you, if I would have gone to college right after high school, I don't think that I would have been the person that I am today. I wanted to make money, get an apartment, do what I wanted to do. I was gracious enough to, life was gracious enough to me, rather, for me to work in the government right after high school. So I started to work. And then once I got in touch with my purpose, I figured out my passion. And that's when the education then took its toll. And I, undergrad, Logos. I also finished up there, worked my way all the way up to a doctorate at St. Thomas Christian University. So I'm proud of myself, of the progressions that I've made. But the truth of the matter is, I'm still just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can help everybody. So that's the short version of a story. I hope I didn't damage it too bad, but I'm just Dominic Curry, not really concerned about my history, but I'm more concerned about my legacy. So whatever I've done in the past does not mean very much. I look forward to what I'm able to do in the future. So that's just kind of me in a nutshell. So I hope everybody gets an opportunity to hear that, know that, and feel what I'm truly saying concerning me.
You are phenomenal, sir. And that is so true. Humble, yes, because most times, I got to share this, Dominic Curry does not share that he's Dr. Dominic Curry.
I didn't know that for a long time.
It's not necessary.
He just says, I'm Dominic Curry.
There it is. It's verifiable. I mean, it's up there.
Look at that. Yeah.
Maxine, before we go to Mr. Gamble, I have to interject something. Okay, Dominic, I got whoopings too when I was young. Okay, I was raised by my grandparents, and you call that loving discipline. I mean, and that's what I call it, because it's a correction to let you know what you did was either wrong or dangerous. And you got to correct that course or something's going to happen to you, but I was one of those analytical teens. So I could remember I was about 13 years old and I had done something I wasn't supposed to do. So my grandmother went to go reach for the leather belt that hung in the hallway. We had to pass it every day on the way to the room, right? So she went to get the belt and she was going to hit me with it. And I stopped her and I said, okay, you know what? I'm too old for spankings. I'm too old. I said, now you can take the phone. We were raised like princesses. We had phones in our rooms, and this is the 60s. We had a landline in the room, and we had the little black and white. We had our own TVs, me and my sister. I said, you could take the phone, you could take the TV. Those were the things that I meant something to me.
Right.
Because at that age, that spanking didn't mean nothing to me. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she said, go bring me that TV. You're not going to watch TV for a whole week. Now that hurt.
I bet.
I had to miss Bewitched. Oh my goodness, that hurt me. I'm like, a week.
That was true punishment, huh?
That hurt me. Was I could not watch TV for a whole week, but that was interesting. So I had to just share that story.
I didn't like getting hit, so I committed to be a goody two shoes most of the time, or at least be sneaky about it. Like my mom, we're from Bermuda, and she bought the English belt with her from Bermuda. She got the English belt, the strap, and she would say, lick you around your legs. So it was like, I didn't like that. No, I didn't like getting hit. So it's like, I'll be good. So, Mr. Outstanding, share with us who you are for our Facebook family and friends, sir.
Well, first of all, I am certainly honored to be here and to be on this panel and to really share some information and to learn and get some information as well, right? A consummate student. So certainly a pleasure to be here. And let me just say also for the record, I'm still getting spankings now. So I mean, I was listening to you guys talk about how it used to be. I'm like, bro, I'm doing something wrong. I remember my mother. So in coming up, and I won't go too far in the back, but I'll just tell you like this. It wasn't long ago when my mother was here visiting here in the Washington, D.C. area, or actually in D.C. And my mother looked at me and she rubbed my face and she said, "I'm so proud of you, son. I'm so proud of the man you've become." And I said, "Wow, thank you." And then I said, "Wait a minute. What do you mean become?" She said, "Well, we had some years there where we were a little worried." So I moved to Washington, D.C. For college. To attend Howard University, and then just never left. So DC is now my home, and I tell you, I've been in the professional sales and training space for over 20 years now. I've been flown all over the country to work with different Fortune 500 companies to help train their staff. And I was a financial advisor for many years and really had some good times in that space, worked for Merrill Lynch and just did some phenomenal things. And really, that's really where I started to really experience what personal growth and self-development was really all about, because that was really when I started to recognize that the wealthy sort of play a different game than those of us who didn't grow up wealthy play. They're taught differently, their language is differently, they speak differently. And so what I realized is though even we all may be on the same board, this game of life, we just play different things. So I realized that a lot of my people are playing checkers and a lot of wealthy people are playing chess. Mm. And so the networking industry is something that really starts to take that message of personal growth and self-development, starts to disseminate it amongst just everyday people. And that's why I really fell in love with the industry. And I said, from a financial aspect, I think everybody should have a plan B or multiple sources of revenue or income, if you will. And that's why I stayed in this industry, and I will, God willing, forever. And that's where we are right now. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to kick off the very first question and let you gentlemen run for it because we want to hear from you. So Ms. Sheila Neighbor and I will talk less and let you guys talk more. Now, there are many definitions and examples of personal development. What do you define personal development as, and why is it so important? So whoever wants to start first, please feel free, gentlemen.
Okay, so I'll jump in and then I'll let Mr. Curry swing on the back end of it.
I got my notepad, man. You got Cameron Gamble on. I'm taking notes, so
Hey, listen, we're all right there together. Absolutely. So personal growth to me is really starting what you know and taking it to another level. As I like to talk to people about, we all know and understand the word knowledge. And really, knowledge is based on two things. It's something that you know, obviously, and then there's a ledge. And most people stop right there at the ledge. If you think about how early Settlers thought that the world was flat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you look out on the yonder, it looks like there is a ledge. And if you go too far, you'll fall over. And that's really sort of a metaphor of how most people are in life. They know what they know, they believe what they believe, and that's it. And they feel like if they go too far, then it's nothing but peril really on the other side. So for me, personal growth and self-development is realizing that I don't know everything and that there is information beyond my ledge, my no ledge. And so it may not be something that you know, but definitely with this day and information age, it's information out there, and it's really just pushing yourself beyond that ledge or the mental limits of what you already know.
Wow.
Excellent.
Mr.
Wow.
Curry.
All right, sir. I mean, absolutely awesome. I mean, you know, you can't, y'all, I used to think y'all love me, then y'all make me follow stuff like that. You know what I mean? No, with all honesty, personal improvement and personal development is something, like I said before, is very near and dear to me. And if I had to just kind of extract a meaning, looking in the mirror of my own life, honestly, it's really it's self-evaluation. All right, self-evaluation and making those necessary improvements. And I'll give you a case in point. For me, it was a must. I was thrust into leadership, so to speak, because I'm this miracle child, right? I'm the kid that other people's parents are saying stay away from, right? And I've lived long enough to watch those same parents now beg for me to talk to those children, those same children. So it's amazing to see. But when I finally did start walking on a good foot and start to do things right, I was thrust into leadership. So I'm leading people, not just my peers, but people 2-3 times my age at 18 years old, honestly. And I couldn't just get up and talk. I had to have something to say. And so I had to improve. One of the first people that I gravitated toward was John C. Maxwell, which is why, you know, I kind of on his team now, you'll hear me saying a lot of quotes from Maxwell. And I'll never forget the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership and talking about the first law, the law of the lid. And what I discovered very quickly is that I have got to live a life of personal improvement and a life of personal growth. And so if you talk about what personal improvement might be, when I understand that there really are no limits to life except those that you place on yourself, I'm still becoming. I'm always in the mode of becoming, and a lot of people want to talk about what I've become, but the truth is I'm still becoming. I'm still on my way to my best self. And so when I start to talk about personal development, it becomes I'm very passionate, because when you think about the law of the lid, and I don't want to deviate. I just told them the other night, sometimes I take the long way home, but I get there. I promise I do. When you talk about the law of the lid, the reality is he talks about your leadership, or your level of effectiveness, rather. Like if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, if your leadership capacity is an 8, the highest anyone will ever get is a 7. They'll never match you, and they'll never go beyond you, which is to say that very few people can outgrow an organization. Very few people can outgrow a business. Very few people can outgrow things that has astronomical vision. However, you can outgrow a leader. And so when people started to follow me and depend on me and depend on my next step, then it was incumbent upon me to make sure that I'm always in competition with the last version of myself. And I never, in personal development for me now, it's all about personal improvement, personal goals, personal plans for your life. And I mean this because a lot of people will accuse me of trying to be better than others, but they don't know me very well. They just need to know 2 things about me. I hate to lose, and the only person that I'm ever in competition with is the last version of myself.
Wow.
All right? And so that's
I like that. Mm-hmm.
That's all it. I mean, it's true story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is absolutely, personal development is an ongoing journey. It never ends. It will always continue, no matter what. Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a question that I would like to throw out there. Now, we're all in the same wonderful, it's not a network marketing company, but it's still referral based, Carrot Bars International. But let's talk about network marketing in general. Why is it, do you feel that most people don't understand that they need to develop themselves? That they need personal development. That's a part of their business plan, or it should be a part of their business plan. Why is it in network marketing, most people fight it? They don't want to read. They don't want to pay for a course. Anything that has to do with education, they kind of shun for it. But entertainment, they're good. They'll watch something for 3 hours and be entertained. So why is it that you feel that that is the case?
You want me to take a stab at it?
Yes.
I think it's I think it's more simple than we realize. We're unique beings, and we are made very funny. Believe it or not, we were created for relationships. And I'll give you a case in point. Isn't it unique how your eyes can see miles away, but you can't see your own face?
What does that mean?
We're created for relationships. We're created, and some people just need people in their lives to tell them, your eyes can literally see miles away. I'm talking miles away. Truthfully, your natural eyes, but those same eyes cannot see the face that it's in. And I mean that, and I say that to say that you see that in others, but very few people see that in themselves. So they can see what's wrong with you. They can see how much you need to develop, but very few people can see how much they need to develop. My favorite book in the whole wide world, in fact, a book that was actually written by one of the wisest men who ever lived and ever perished, arguably, King Solomon said, all the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. And so I can always justify my reasons for or my reasons for why not. And that's only because of my inability to actually see myself. And it's not until you start to take an introspective look and see your own shortcomings and realize that you are probably the number one cause for what you have or the lack thereof, if that makes sense. That some of us really need some real friends, real mentors, real people who we would follow, or we need a relationship with a mirror. Because when we start to see ourselves, that's when we'll start to correct ourselves. And then to answer your question, the reality is that I don't really think that people think that there's anything, I don't like to use the word wrong, because it's not about right or wrong. I don't know that they see that there's something that they need to improve. But I was taught a long time ago that there's three reasons why your business don't grow. Either you're not doing the right activity, you're not doing enough of the right activity, or because of personal development, that people want to do business with people who they believe are worthy of doing business with. And most people will blame the company, the comp plan, the product, the upline, the downline, the sideline. They'll blame everybody but themselves. Jim Rohn, in my closing, will talks about a story about his experience with Earl Schroep, and he said how he told him to write a list of reasons why his life isn't good. And so he had everything on his list. And so Earl looks at his list and says, you want to know what's wrong with your list? You ain't on it. And a lot of people will write a list of reasons why things aren't right in their lives, but because of our makeup, very few people actually will blame themselves. And what I'm saying is it's because we were created for these kinds of relationships, to encounter some people who will show us that we really need to take a look at our own selves and evaluate why. So in my opinion, humble opinion, that's the reason why most people don't do it. And
I'm going to quote something from your book. Your life is uncomfortable because of your comfort zone.
True story.
People are comfortable with their comfort zone. So they, even if they see that there's something wrong, they're not able to actually go after it and change it because they are set in that comfort zone, and that fear of just upsetting what is the norm is not what they want to do.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, God is my witness. The few pages in that book, people have called me to train
That
on.
book is phenomenal.
So that they can kind of see in depth all over the world. And that's just true. They don't realize that their lives are uncomfortable because of their comfort zone. The things that they do every single day is the only reason why their lives are uncomfortable. And if they just do one thing that they are uncomfortable doing, that will bring them great comfort. So, but you gotta want to see that in yourself. My bad. I got
I can tell Cameron is just waiting to come.
You got that double dutch.
Come on out here.
Come on, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Jump in, Cam. Jump in.
And it's funny because Mr. Dominic Curry, Dr. Dominic Curry, let's be proper with this, is we work together and we do these types of trainings and sessions all over. We've got some upcoming events here in the very near future. So I'm very accustomed to following him, working with him, and just waiting until you can jump in. That's just what we do. So we're in for a nice ride on this call tonight.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, I think it goes back to a rudimentary cause, and why people don't go with or seek out personal growth and self-development. And it really comes down to one thing, in my humble opinion, is institutionalization. Most of us have been institutionalized into thinking that we're not even to think, right? Just to follow instruction, whatever somebody tells us. Most of us haven't thought in years. We just do exactly what is laid out before us. So when you start when you're young, the teachers are telling you what to do, or it even starts before then. Your parents are telling you what to do. Then you go to school, then the teachers are telling you what to do. And then when you finish school, your job, your boss is telling you what to do. And then at some point, maybe it's a spouse telling you what to do. So you just have people that go their entire life without having to stop and think for themselves. And so I think a lot of people don't seek out personal growth and self-development because no one's telling them to do so. And it really comes down to that. I tell the story of my daughter when she was in elementary school, and I was looking at the artwork on the schools, how they do in the hallways, really trying to see, because my daughter can't draw to save her life. So I wanted to see if she needs the wall or not, right? And so I'm looking at all the other kids' drawings, and she's like, hey, Daddy, stop, freeze. And freeze to me is something different. I'm from the old school. So I stopped and I'm like, okay, fire drill? What is this? And she's like, no, you're walking in the wrong direction. Like, what do you mean? And she goes, when you're walking on this side of the hallway, you're to walk on the red line. And then when you walk in this direction, you're to walk on the blue line. And I said, wow, she's already being institutionalized and not even realizing. And she's being taught to follow the line. Don't think outside the box. Don't be a thinker and get off track. Just follow the line. Mm-hmm. And that's what so many of us are taught at a very early age, that it's almost impossible for us to break free to then start to realize that in order for us to get where we want to be, we've got to change who we are. So it's very hard to think that we want something different, but we want everything to remain the same, to Dr. Curry's point. So that's why I think most of us just don't seek it, because we're not taught that. We're not even taught to seek that.
I tell you, the biggest epiphany that I had in this last 15 minutes, because I remember I said, what do you mean by that? With the people can see for miles, but they can't see their own face. Mm-hmm. That is so true, because when we see a picture of ourselves at an event, sometimes we're like, oh, goodness. Mm-hmm. And I thought that looked good on me. Oh my goodness, I have definitely got to drop when we don't want to see. And I look at myself in the mirror every day, but am I really? Honestly, am I really looking at myself? And that man, I'm gonna be thinking about that all night, Mr. Curry. That's so interesting.
Too, because when you said that, I'm thinking, well, yeah, you can look at yourself when you look in the mirror, but it's just a reflection. But is that really you? It's a reflection.
So
it's
then,
not the essence of you. It's just what the mirror is showing you.
Mhm.
So I think the part B of that question, because you answered why people don't just really feel the need. So is that why, and we're gonna definitely point out, we're on the team union. I'm a proud union member. Is that why, and not just with team union, there's a lot of teams that focus on personal development, but I'm just talking about with, what I'm involved with the union, that personal development is always at the top. I mean, I can recall just even the Wednesday night huddles. I think it was you. Yeah, definitely it was you, Dominic Curry. You were filling in for Mr. Rodney Roach, and you were doing John Maxwell's 21. You were taking us through those steps on the team huddle, period. It is just stressed. And then there's a recommended book of the month that's stressed. There's everything for personal development is stressed. Now, we were going to save this for the end, but since we're on this topic,
organic.
I do want to dive in and just first, let me just tell this secret to the world on personal development. And Mr. Gamble, can you go ahead and say what the union is doing? That's
November 2nd.
Legendary November 2nd.
Wow. Well, we the cat's getting out of the bag for sure. But, what we're going to do November 2nd will just be epic. We're really going to bring just some levels and depth of understanding. I mean, the union, as you said, Ms. Abram, is really just a collective of people, right? We don't care about lineage, and that's why we just call it the union, right? We don't care who's the up, the down, the side, the unilevel, the upper level. Like none of that really matters. We're just looking for people that really subscribe to what we talk about, which is again, personal growth and self-development and tactical approaches to this business. So often within the industry, people just tell you, go out and make a list and then go start talking to people. But if you come from different walks of life, then that may be an entirely different experience for you. If you've never really studied the industry or studied human psychology, or you've had to move people from one position to the next, or had to manage people, or had to sell something, or had to be an effective communicator. I mean, all of these things that are intertwined into what we do, then it's almost impossible for a person just to get thrown in this industry, say, make a list, and then go out and have some relative success. So what we're going to do in November is really just bring some powerhouse leaders together to deliver some powerful messages that just really haven't been seen before by a lot of people. I mean, we're really going to get into the grits and gravy, as it were, on just, again, I want to give away too much, but just if I could just say this, if you don't even know what a tie down is, then you need to be in this training, right? If you don't know how to overcome every single objection that's out there, then you need to be at this training, because this is going to go so far beyond just a list. I mean, we're going to start talking about personalities, mind shift stuff, tactical stuff. I mean, it's going to get so deep into the weeds that people are going to come out of there going, wow, I can't believe what I just witnessed. So November 2nd, it's just going to be phenomenal. So stay tuned, and it's going to sell out because it's not meant to be for the masses. This is just advanced training. This is for people who really want to take their business and their own personal growth and self-development to the next level. And the one thing I'll say about this, and then I'll yield, is the things that we teach within the union trainings are things that you can utilize in your life.
Yes.
And I'm going to look around right now to make sure my family's not coming down. But I even use some of the stuff on the family. We'll go through things and I'll go, let's see if that works. Yeah. And it works on the family. So this isn't just stuff to get people to subscribe, to the Karatbars business or the Karatbars opportunity. This is really just to help people prosper in life. So this is certainly a don't miss. This will not be like anything else that we've ever seen. November 2nd.
Would you like to say anything about it, Mr. Curry?
I concur with Mr. I will be there, and I will tell everybody else that you need to be there. And honestly, I'll offer a money back guarantee if you're not completely satisfied with everything that takes place there. I have confidence in the team that we're a part of, and everybody just uniting, and that's, like you said, to his point, what the union is really about. I mean, I don't even care if you hear the same subjects. When you hear different people speak on the same subjects, it brings a whole different flavor because they can speak it from their perspective and their level of experience. And we just have so much experience in one room that it will behoove every person that to get there and get the tickets. Like if I was anybody, like when I hear certain things go on sale, I buy multiple tickets. I buy it for people that I don't even know yet. You know what I mean? I do. I get them because I know that it's a limited supply. It's the reason why we get gold, because it's finite. It's a limited supply. And so when I know that there's only a few seats, I just get as many as I can get because trust me. The information that I hear that's going to go forward, I mean, I want to just really be a participant. You know what I mean? I want to sit and take notes so that I can just continue to better my life and business overall. So, I mean, I concur with Mr. Gamble. He knows what he's talking about. That's for sure.
Well, while you're still on that subject, I got a quick question for you. What are some of the resources or tools that a person can tap into as far as growing? Like, should they read books? Should they take specific courses? Now, in your book, I got to remember this.
You know what, Maxine, can I stop you right here?
Sure.
You keep saying your book. I don't even know what book you're talking about. What book does Dr. Dominic Curry have? Oh my goodness. I did not even know he had a book.
Ignoring the noise. I'm sorry. I'm assuming everybody had it, or knew about it. But
What book?
book.
It's like, what book?
Ignoring the noise. This is a phenomenal book. I mean, I just soaked it up and I'm soaking it up again. There's so many nuggets in this book. Ignoring the noise. So he has in there, I wanted to ask him about this, the 4 stages of growth: unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. I just wanted you to elaborate on that just a little bit, because when I read that, I was like, wow, it just blew my mind.
Case in point, one of the many things that you might hear, one of the many subject matters that you might hear circulated in many circles, right? And I truthfully speaking, I've probably written about or started writing maybe 5 books. And 3 for sure, long before I even started on this one. The reason I decided to release this particular book first, because it wasn't anything that was uncommon, but I wanted to bring an uncommon approach to some common philosophies. Okay. And it was a few pages on purpose, right about 100 pages, so that I can target the masses of people who want more but don't have a whole lot of time. Mm-hmm. But that in itself, the 4 stages of growth, I spent time using that in the start of the book. And the reason being is because this is something that you'll start to look at every area of your life and determine what stage of development you might really be in. So if you think about unconscious incompetence, to be consciously aware of anything is to have all of your cognitive functions in alignment and be aware of what's going on. But to be incompetent, meaning that I don't know. So that's really a place and stage where you just don't know what you don't know. So that's another reason to get to November 2nd. You don't even know what you don't know. you have no idea what you don't know. And there is something that has not been awakened in you to let you know that I don't know this. And then there is conscious incompetence. Like, now I know that I don't know that, right? And so what it does, it starts to give you steps and levels of progressions in life. And I promise you, I wrote the thing and I go back and read it at different stages and phases of my life, and I see something totally different. And to me, that's what makes information alive, where it's never stagnant, never still. It's always moving. It's always speaking to me in the now or the isness of my life, right? And so, so the first stage, just to give you the short version, is I don't know what I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then once you say it or I see it, I know I don't know that. That is conscious incompetence. A lot of people like to celebrate the fourth step, but I'll submit to you that third place is really the place where you can be on a pursuit of growth, where I would say the sky's the limit if there wasn't a footprint on the moon. But the truth of the matter is that you can just continue to soar, because when you start to talk about conscious competence, oh my God, do you know, like, man, I was breathing different oxygen this past week, and I don't know when it was, whenever it was, we had our last event. And so I'm gonna tone it down a whole lot of on our tour, right? But I really wanted everybody in Carrot Bars to make it to that place, that level 3, that place of conscious competence. Do you realize that the moment you know, there is nothing that nobody can do to take that from you? Like I know unconscious competence is where everybody aims to be. And if I had to kind of illustrate unconscious competence for you, I'd kind of give it to you the best way I've ever heard it described. When I was 4 years old, learning to ride a bike with no training wheels, I was about 4 years old, learning to ride a bike with no training wheels. Man, I would look and these guys would be riding wheelies. I mean, just riding wheelies, ride with no hands and just doing all this stuff. I mean, these guys were superheroes to me. I couldn't believe that. Here I am, this guy couldn't even get this thing to stand up straight, right? But these guys are literally riding on one wheel and no hands. And it's like, what is happening? Or you're driving. I don't know if anybody's ever driven any distance, and there's a routine route. Yes. You drive and unconsciously you end up at your destination, and you ain't even think about the turns, never thought about the exits. You're doing something else, doing whatever else, looking around, and you just kind of get there. And everybody aims to be there, and I think that is a graceful place to be in life, where things are so good, so wonderful, things are happening, and you make what you do look so easy that it seems effortless, right? And we ascribe to be at that place, but I'll submit to you that step 3, or that place of conscious competence, is a place that is the most rewarding, because now I know what I'm doing. And I know that I know what I'm doing. So that's what we want to get everybody to November 2nd. There's a whole lot of people in this industry, for instance, that they're successful by default. If I could just be honest, like they don't know what they're doing. They were just first. So they got there because they were before everybody else. And that's good. I ain't hating on them. They got there before everybody else. So that's good. It was perfect position. They're a product of timing. There are some people that's a product of talent. You know what I mean? But then there are some people that you can pick them up and drop them anywhere, and they'll be able to reproduce success over and over and over again because of conscious competence. And I'm telling you, it'll get to a place where you're not even thinking about it, and you just actually breed success. And it's because of things like this, the avenues and platforms that you have here talking about like personal development and personal improvement. Because once you realize that you don't get what you want in life, you get what you attract in life, you stop trying to do things and you start to become what it is that you really want to be. So I'm sorry, man, I can get lost in this. So I mean, that's
Drop the mic.
Cameron, you ready? I know, I see it.
You already know. He's always ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nothing to say on that. I mean, he pushed it. That's really what it is, And again, the examples. I think why that's so paramount is to Mr. Curry's point is you don't know what you don't know. So oftentimes, most people think that they have it figured out, right? Until they get around other resources, other people, whatever the case may be. And then they realize, wow, it's a whole bunch that I don't know. And that's why I think personal growth and self-development and platforms like this are so important, because it just gives you access to different things. Unfortunately, sometimes your circles may have to get smaller in order for your vision to get bigger. And so many of us just stay within our circles because, again, it's comfortable. We don't like to break outside of that. So it's platforms like this, trainings that we go to. And the reality is, for those that don't attend things like this, like people who may have significant others not in the business, they think it's like a cult or something. Because they're going, why are you so happy when you come back from these meetings? I mean, happy meetings. Are you guys smoking something, drinking something? Like, what is happening? Because, in the workplace, a meeting is a bad word. And so when we have meetings, we come back and we're fired up. You're listening to people like Mr. Curry. You come back and you're like, whoa, we had a great meeting. It's like another meeting. What are you guys meeting about again? And that's because people don't even know what they don't know.
Well, I tell you, I love the when you know. I see that stage in my business partner and son, Stephen. He has spent time developing a number of different skills. And networking, he's joined this with me because this is my first network marketing company. I'm a traditional business owner. So here's the thing. I knew what I needed to know to run successful corporations, period. I knew what I needed to know to manage employees, to hit the numbers that needed to be hit, to be number one. I was a station manager for the Postal Service, the youngest one in our district, and my office was number one 5 years running. My next level promotion, I was fill-in postmaster. Next level promotion was postmaster before I quit. I knew what I needed to know to get successful results out of people. But coming into the network marketing arena, I absolutely was completely incompetent in building a team.
Can I just stop you right there?
Yes.
Because that to me is it. When you asked that question earlier, to me, that is the answer why a lot of people aren't successful in this industry, because it doesn't transcend. Just because you are successful in the corporate space or you've been doing something that garnered a certain level, it does not transcend into this industry. And that's the fatal mistake. I think a lot of people just really assume is that when they come over because they've had success doing other things, it's going to transcend. And it really doesn't. This is its own animal. And so the more you're in it, the longer you're in it, the longer you've been around successful people, the more you'll be successful. But if you bring your old successes, especially in the corporate space, and bring it here, it's going to be a hard, long road.
Yeah.
No question. So I applaud you for realizing that. Most people don't.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give credit where credit was due. I had the absolute privilege of being mentored by Ty and Valerie Best.
The best. Absolutely.
And here's the thing. So much so that, because anybody who knows Ty Best knows he's a people person.
Yes.
He will talk to you. And I don't know how he manages to keep everyone's identity separate. He talks to you on your level. Well, I don't mean on your level, but when he's talking to Sheila, he's talking to Sheila. When he's talking to Maxine Jones, he's talking to Maxine Jones. He remembers my history. He remembers, my emotions. But yeah, he had to start to soften me up from being the boss. So I go from being the boss to building a team.
Difference.
As the boss, my employees come to work and they're on time. I'm not going to say, how you doing? How was last night? How's the family? Get to work. But as building a team, how are you today? How can I help you? What do you need me to do to make your day more successful? There is a huge difference.
You have to connect with them.
That's right. Yeah, this is a volunteer army.
Yes, exactly.
I got a question.
Yes.
On your individual journeys of personal development, what new skills did each one of you have to learn on your individual journeys of personal development? What new skills did you learn?
Sir?
Wow. There were so many. I think one of the biggest skills that really sort of took me to the next level was understanding different personality types, if you will. I think that so many of us, as we grow up, we're not conscious of those kinds of things, right? Some of your parents, you may even have old school parents like my father used to say things like, children should be seen and not heard, So if that's what you grow up with, in your household, then your perception of how you should effectively communicate or interact with people is stunted. Some people never recover, but that to me was one of the biggest aha moments. Like once I understood, like, wow. So in other words, if I need people to do things for me or for my best interest, or if I'm mentoring them and I want them to do it for their own interest, then to be an effective communicator, I first have to kind of understand your perspective. I have to understand what makes you think, what makes you tick, or how you think, or what's important to you. And then once I can understand that, I can then tailor my message to you. And once I learned that skill, then it just became, it's almost unfair, really. Because once you learn things like this, almost like having a secret weapon that people just don't know about. So you can already sort of predetermine 2 steps ahead where somebody's going to go with whatever they're going to say or their reaction to something. And once I learned that, because again, these are some of those things you can even apply on your family.
I love the way he looks over his shoulder. Are they listening?
Exactly. Mr. Curry?
Skills that I've learned along the way. The greatest skill, and I was thinking about it as you were asking and as Mr. Gamble was talking. I'll be honest with you. One of the first lessons I learned was self-evaluation. Ooh, that's a skill. No, I'm serious. And I used to really want to strengthen my weaknesses until I learned in this industry to forget about them and to strengthen my strengths, make my strengths stronger. And I'm constantly reflecting, constantly evaluating me. How can I get better? I never put the onus on you. I never blame you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like my wife and I can get into a
fellowship,
heated disagreement, right? and what I've learned in my pursuit, as you asked, was that none of this is her fault. No, man, that's crazy. That's a gift. Like that. None of this is all me, because I have to take 100% responsibility for everything, because the reality is that I may not like how you looking at me. I can't change you looking at me, but I can change me from looking at you look at me. You know what I'm saying? So
I got you.
I can't stop you from fussing, but I can stop me from listening. You know, and so to me, that's a skill that has to be developed. The skill of responsibility, the skill of reflection and introspective looks. So that's something that I have to attribute to this industry, because if life is going to get better, I've got to get better. If my business is going to get better, I've got to get better. And whenever I don't put the responsibility on someone else and I take it, I make it every single time.
Mm-hmm. We can't change anyone but ourselves. And you've learned also the skill of responding. As I'm listening to, as a husband, the skill of responding. Not to take out the gauntlet and go for it. That's good.
So, Maxine, can you start wrap up with closing comments on our wonderful guest? Because I do have a few words that I want to say at the end. Something I do.
I don't even want it to end. So you guys,
I know, but it's time.
I have to do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever. But I really, absolutely appreciate you coming on Can We Chat here, just imparting your wisdom, your knowledge, your skill. I mean, it's just so needed. We all need personal development. We all need it, whether we understand it or see it, but every single person needs personal development, even for just relationships, not necessarily business, like Cameron said, for the family. So I thank you so very, very much, Dr. Dominic Curry and Mr. Outstanding, Mr. Cameron Gamble, for coming on Can We Chat here and giving us your wisdom, your time, your expertise. This has been just phenomenal. I'm just grinning from ear to ear, and I'm going back again and reading your book again, because it's just phenomenal. So thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, ladies. This was
I'm going to order the book tonight. I mean, you know how Dominic said he does not want to be last or lose. I had no idea Maxine had a leg up on me with that.
And I for some reason I thought she had it, but I just realized why. Because this was at one of the Super Saturday events in New York, and he was there, and he autographed it for me too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just rub it in. Why don't you?
I really went up on her. Really, West Coast, you don't have this. East Coast.
Wow. You know what? I am going to bring. Wow. I'm going to bring my book to Maryland when I come in November. And see, that's right. I already have my tickets. My son and I, we're going to be there. Have the plane. The hotel is already reserved, and I have our tickets, because one thing that Mr. Rodney Roach said, and we just kind of touched on it, because they said, oh, this thing's going to sell out. This event is not for everybody.
Right.
It should be for everybody, but it's not for everybody. There's only 70 seats available, and at the team huddle Wednesday night, 35 of them were already sold. So it could be sold out right now. However, on this platform, I can't put a link because you can't click it. But on our Can We Chat Here Facebook page, I will have the registration link. But if you have never attended a personal development seminar or workshop or summit, and I've attended many in my management career by T. Harv Eckert, I've attended, a lot of different pro summits, millionaire mind summits. You're going to get the most out of it because you're required to participate in most of them. This is not a sit down and maybe fall asleep and pretend like you're not. You're going to be participating in exercises. So if you know that you don't want to do that, don't take up a seat. But if you know you want to just take it to the next level, you're going to need to click on the link when we put it in there, and it'll be in right after this ends tonight. It's going to be there, and get your ticket. And if it's sold out, it is sold out. And there's nothing we can do about it because of the content. It needs to be a smaller level.
Correct.
For the level of individual attention, it needs to be on a smaller, it's for those leaders. And one of the beautiful things that Mr. Roach said, you know, a lot of phenomenal leaders, they need professional training in order to get up there on that stage and train other people. You know, well, what kind of training have you had? So my son and I, we're going to complete this training, and I'm going to be there, but I want to just share my screen really quickly. Now, this is not, I did not have time to do, you know, an actual video, but I did want for everybody to see. It's going to be done by the union, and it's called Communication and Personality Pro Workshop. It's November 2nd. It's 10 a.m. through 5. It's a full day. You know, this is a full day of learning. Okay, it's going to be at the Harborside Hotel, 6400 Oxon Hills Road in Oxon Hills, Maryland, which is 20745. So I wanted to make sure you can see that. Now the link to register, we will put that in because you can't click it from the screen anyway. Mm-hmm. We're going to put that in so you can get your ticket if it's available. But it's going to be a beautiful event, and I'm Maxine. I mean, our team members have tickets too.
Our team, she's got hers. Our team, they have theirs.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to close out because we always keep Can We Chat here to an hour or less, and we are at that hour. One of the things that I want to say, that whole the 4 competency one where you don't know what you don't know, and then you want to know the first person I heard say that. I heard Mr. Cameron Gamble tell me that on a phone conversation. I had no idea that was in Dominic Curry's book. The first person that was telling me this information was Mr. Cameron Gamble. See, that's the importance of personal development. Mr. Rodney Roach has a book of the month that he recommends. And when I first got on our Wednesday night team huddle, I heard the book of the month. So I went out, I got my book of the month. It came from Amazon. I started reading it. And then the next week,
there was another one.
We didn't talk about the book. No, we didn't talk about, I'm thinking, well, aren't we supposed to talk about the book of the month? What's the purpose of a book of the month? And so I called him on the phone after, and I said, I have a question about the book of the month. You said what it was, but you didn't say where we're supposed to be or what chapter. And he said, okay. He says, let's talk a little bit about what I discussed last night. And he said, you know, do you remember when I said X, Y, and Z in conversation, in team trading, and just information? He said, that's chapter 4. Mm-hmm. That's chapter 4. He says, when you start personal development, your conversations will change. What comes out of your mouth is going to change. Had I said, look, chapter 4, he goes, no, you have to make it apply with daily life. Mm-hmm. And I was just shocked. I said, oh my goodness, he is so right.
Mm-hmm. May I tell you one quick thing? And I certainly will stop after this. But that is really the secret of how the union has been able to grow leaps and bounds and be able to attract leaders like Dr. Dominic Curry. Because once you find your tribe, they'll speak your language. So when you start speaking a certain way, people can hear it. Networkers will hear that. They'll say, oh, you're speaking the language. Like you're saying the things that I'm used to hearing. But if you're not in that space, you're not even aware of the language that's being spoken around you. And that's how we've been able to secretly build just an empire of speakers and trainers. I mean, we've got people that obviously everybody knows, you know, the Mr. Roaches of the world, the Kevin Robinsons, the Dominic Currys, the Bitcoin Lou's, the Crypto Steve. But we've got others through the ranks that people haven't even been aware of yet. Why? Because we're speaking the professional network of language. And that's what we're trying to share with everybody who wants to tap in. So that was a great way to segue into the conclusion of this. Ms. Avery, that was absolutely perfect. Speaking the language.
All right. Well, Mrs. Jones, we have a secret for next Can We Chat here. So we won't announce it, but you know we will be the first Monday.
September will be September 2nd, the first Monday of the month. So you have to tune in. Can We Chat here, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss it. You don't
Thank
want to
you
miss it.
so much, Dr. Curry.
Yeah.
Even though you said don't say Dr. Dominic Curry and Miss Campbell, thank you. And I'm getting that book.